As the Bryan Kohberger trial unfolds, the defense is leaning heavily on a strategy of creating reasonable doubt. While prosecutors have presented damning DNA evidence and digital records, Kohberger's legal team is meticulously poking holes in the case. They argue that the evidence is circumstantial, incomplete, and potentially mishandled. The goal? To convince the jury that even the slightest uncertainty is enough to acquit him. One of the most controversial aspects of Bryan Kohberger's defense strategy revolves around the eyewitness description of the suspect. During the investigation, a surviving roommate reported seeing a figure with bushy eyebrows the night of the murders. The defense has seized on this detail, arguing that such a vague description leaves too much room for doubt. While the prosecution frames this as a small but significant observation that aligns with Kohberger's appearance, his attorneys are prepared to dismantle its credibility because this wasn't in the witness's first statement. She said this later on after possibly seeing a picture of Kohberger. A recently surfaced selfie of Bryan Kohberger, allegedly taken shortly after the Idaho murders, has become a point of contention in the ongoing trial. Unlike other photos of Kohberger where he maintains a stoic, emotionless expression, this particular image captures him with an unsettling smile, adding an eerie undertone that prosecutors argue could suggest a disturbing sense of satisfaction or relief. The prosecution claims that the contrast between this image and his usual demeanor raises questions about his psychological state in the aftermath of the murders.
I noticed with the Kohbergers, they can't admit when they're wrong with stuff. I mean, they got him purchasing the knife sheet. They got him trying to get a replacement knife. And now the parents might be on the stand. They might have to put their right hand in the air and tell the truth about their son. This could be the end of Bryan Kohberger and all the Kohbergers. Now, his parents do seem like nice people. I don't know what they're going to say. I don't even know if they're going to tell the truth. And I think they honestly think their son is not guilty. Now, let's talk about this selfie. This is literally the eeriest thing that happened in true crime since the Richard Allen video release. This is crazy. The bushy eyebrows are there. Maybe Dylan wasn't lying. Also, it's kind of rare that your mugshot looks better than your selfie. I don't know what type of time he was on during this, but he looks a lot better in jail. Looks more like a human. The left side looks like Dracula on shards. Now, the father of Kaylee puts his 2 cents in on why Bryan Kohberger did that selfie. I see somebody that was making himself a trophy, Steve said during an appearance on Fox and Friends, March 21st. I know the timeline. I know he had just returned to the crime scene and he had came back. He had just realized that nobody had called 911. He did it as a trophy. Hey, I got away with it. Nobody's on me. Now, I'm just putting myself in the victim's shoes, right? When you have all this evidence against the so-called killer, the alleged killer of your daughter, and then you got not millions of people, I would say hundreds of thousands of people, not even, I don't know, maybe 100,000 people of Kohbergers going around saying that this dude's innocent, it's very disrespectful to the victims. It gets to a point where you have all this evidence, and a lot of people are just stubborn and don't want to switch up, want to be one way on the internet, trying to be, the opposite of everybody else. I get it. But when it comes to true crime and when it comes to evidence, I mean, they got the DNA of the knife sheet. They got him searching up the knife sheet. They got him going back to the crime scene. I mean, there's nothing else we could give the Kohbergers to show them that he's guilty. And when he becomes guilty, it's going to be too late. The victims, the families, everybody's going through this pain, this process, while you got people on the internet saying free Kohberger. Now, the jury selection is starting. It's going to be very hard to find people that don't know this case. The number 1122 shows up a lot, including on his driver license, the address. It's just a number that keeps popping up. The defense tried to get the death penalty thrown out. The judge says no way. So Bryan Kohberger, if found guilty, might be facing death. But I do agree with the defense. I don't think they should be allowed to use the bushy eyebrow comment because it wasn't in the original statement. It was later on. She could have seen pictures of Bryan. Everyone was talking about it. Everyone was already putting the pieces together, accusing people before it even got to the police. So to me, I don't think they could use that comment. But now some people might not know about this, but last year a woman disappeared and she was missing for a year. But Bryan Kohberger's parents were called, they were subpoenaed, and they were questioned about this because this is the same county they're in, and it was months before the Idaho 4 murder. They were thinking Bryan Kohberger has something to do with this. Now, evidence came back. They haven't found any evidence to tie him into this or nothing like that. The parents ultimately didn't give them any information to lock up Bryan Kohberger for this disappearance of this woman. Now, Bryan's dad was seen cleaning up after the SWAT team, and they're trying to say he was trying to hide evidence. It's what you do after you get swatted. You literally clean up the mess they made. I don't understand that. But calling them to the stand, I don't think is going to do anything. These are parents that really love their son. I don't think they're going to try to incriminate their son in any way. Maybe on accident. Are they going to go up there and tell the truth? Are they even going to be called up? Because, again, they're just saying it's a possibility that they're going to be used to testify against Bryan Kohberger. We're going to see what happens. This case has been a cluster, like back and forth, emotions from one side to the other. Percentages of what I feel of him being guilty has changed in weeks. But now it looks like Bryan Kohberger is actually cooked like a burger. RIP to the victims, and honestly, our thoughts are in the victim's family right now. This is a hard time. The trial starts in November. New Age Plug, you did it again. This is the YouTube Streets Podcast.
This the death of the Kohbergers. This boy is guilty, yeah, this is slow murder, huh? This the death of the Kohbergers. This boy is guilty, yeah, it's a slow burner. You don't think he's really guilty? I know that you is a grifter. You ain't no journalist, you just a stupid content creator. He's gonna get the chair, Kohberger's gonna meet his maker. If you don't go along with Kohbergers, then you's a hater. Well, Dylan, she was in a dream, she didn't see anything. Well, what the fuck you mean? He went back to the bucket seat. He tried to go and get his sheet. Now all these victims on the tee, and you ain't gotta feel a thing. It's easy for you to say free because this ain't your family. Get the fuck up off your knees. Stop sucking on the killer's D. You know that boy is super guilty. I don't wanna talk about a selfie. This boy looking super slimy. Dracula on shorts. He took that shit. It's about the timing. You don't really think he's not guilty? Yeah, you know you be lying. If these were my kids, I would've already found them before the whole cops got them. I would've stabbed them. I would've drowned them. I would've went on trial, probably with my family behind me. This wasn't a perfect crime, Bryan. Yeah, you did it lousy. Let me get up in that system just to get on what up, howdy. Bullet holes in your white car before you get up out the county. I kill him quicker than he did. That's just how they found me. This the death of the Kohbergers. This boy is guilty, yeah, this is slow murder, huh? This the death of the Kohbergers. This boy is guilty, yeah, it's a slow burner. You don't think he's really guilty? I know that you is a grifter. You ain't no journalist, you just a stupid content creator. He's gonna get the chair, Kohberger's gonna meet his maker. If you don't go along with Kohbergers, then you's a hater.